It now smells like a humid day inside Joy Behar's moo-moo. The motives stink worse than Joy Behar's jog bra. I mean, assuming she jogs. Oh, wait, there she is. She has a point. Maybe I am obsessed, but some people are obsessed with Bigfoot, and they don't get to see him on TV every afternoon. And if they did, could they tell the two apart? I don't know.
I just stumbled into a comedic clash of titans. On one side, Bill Maher wielding sarcasm like a surgeon's scalpel. On the other, Greg Gutfeld, radiating the chaotic energy of a caffeinated raccoon. What happens when these two team up? Pure comedic destruction. Spoiler alert, Joy's ego didn't survive the crossfire. If you've ever wanted to see a roast so ruthless it could be mistaken for a controlled burn, strap in. Maher and Gutfeld just turned Joy's worldview into a punchline. Game on.
And by the way, out there, that hat that you keep wearing, that red hat that says "Make America Great Again," that tells people that you go along with this. So you might as well just put a swastika on the hat.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Because we see it anyway.
I'm not going to defend Donald Trump ever, but I would never say that we should put the swastika on the cap, because I think you can hate Donald Trump. You can't hate everybody who likes him. It's half the country. I don't want to live in that country. I don't want to live in the country where I hate half the country, and I don't hate half the country.
How dare you disagree?
There are three things in life that seem impossible to avoid: death, taxes, and Joy Behar cramming her political wisdom into daytime TV, like a retired drama teacher who just discovered Twitter. For over 2 decades, she's turned The View into a verbal coliseum of half-baked opinions and overcooked outrage, proudly transforming every topic into an unsolicited TED Talk nobody signed up for.
Last week, Joy Behar accused Elon Musk of being pro-apartheid, but then begged him afterwards not to sue. Musk lawyers have yet to comment because they're still checking to see if it's legal to sue a cow.
Shots fired.
Just a legal question. I don't know why it's so upsetting. I don't make the rules in this country. All right.
Just when you thought things couldn't get any more surreal, in walk two of the most ideologically opposed voices in media, Bill Maher and Greg Gutfeld, joining forces from opposite ends of the political spectrum with a singular mission: to remind us all that Joy Behar might very well be the unofficial mascot of America's media unraveling.
The View?
It's called The View. It's not called The Facts.
Yeah, but isn't it interesting that it's called, I mean, I don't think they meant this when Barbara Walters invented it a long time ago, but it's The View.
Well,
that's the problem in America.
But
there is one view.
Right, and
one
that's clearly
true opinion, and everybody else can go sit in the corner.
That's correct. I think that's...
It wasn't a debate, a roundtable, or even a face-to-face clash, just two vastly different men, each armed with sarcasm and a broadcast platform, independently landing on the same verdict. Joy Behar has become the living proof of what happens when cable TV runs wild and unfiltered.
Said that Gutfeld talks about you all the time.
Who is he? Well, really, who is he?
I don't watch the show.
He has a show.
I don't watch the
never
show.
heard of him.
Yeah.
I guess he's just obsessed with me.
No. Next, Joy's going to say she's never heard of carbs. Seriously, her denial of knowing me is as believable as her red hair. But obsession? I mean, come on, Joy. Where would you even get that idea? Like Joy Behar's face, it's looking worse and worse by the day. More full of crap than Joy Behar after a night of scotch at Taco Bell. Her being named Joy is like me being named Ugly. Joy wasn't there on the show. Apparently Mondays are her days off when she feeds in the past.
Let's single quotes us start with Bill Maher. He's no stranger to calling out nonsense, but lately, he's made it his full-time mission, especially when that nonsense is dressed up as progressive wisdom. Maher built his brand on exasperated monologues, sounding like a weary uncle forced to explain Econ 101 to a dinner table that thinks TikTok is a credible news source. But his frustration has since evolved into a focused crusade, exposing shallow media personalities masquerading as intellectuals. Enter Joy Behar. If Maher's political disillusionment needed a face, it'd have bangs, sit stage left on The View, and nod vigorously at its own hot takes. He didn't need to name Hertz's critique of a show where emotion trumps evidence spoke volumes. A panel that treats applause as truth. Check. Hosts who see disagreement as betrayal. Checkmate. Maher swung a rhetorical sledgehammer at the culture Behar has been feeding to viewers for decades. He mocked the performative virtue signaling, dismantled the outrageous entertainment formula, and while he was dissecting liberal groupthink like a frog in a high school lab, it became painfully clear who the frog was. Behar wasn't collateral damage, she was the muse. She's become a parody of progressivism. The kind that thinks shouting equals substance, smugness replaces nuance, and moral superiority is best delivered with a dramatic eye roll and a dose of condescension.
I just want them to pay attention to words like vermin and poisoning the blood and the Third Reich. That's all. That's really what I'm asking.
They see Trump as a comedian. They see him as a clown who says crazy things.
They saw Hitler like that.
Right, okay, but that doesn't mean, you can hate Trump. You can't hate everybody who likes him. It is half.
If Bill Maher is the guy at the bar sipping scotch and calmly dismantling your logic, Joy Behar is the one climbing on the table to declare she's offended. On behalf of Earth and Mars, Maher's critiques aren't just casual jabs at daytime absurdity. They drill deep, like an oil rig powered by sarcasm and ideological fatigue. In his view, political talk shows have devolved into echo chambers of emotional theater and center stage with a mic made of misplaced confidence. That's Joy Behar. Now flip the lens. If Maher is the disillusioned liberal scribbling, biting critiques in the margins of the Democratic playbook, Greg Gutfeld is the class clown in the back row, sketching savage caricatures of the system, and somehow those sketches now have primetime ratings. Gutfeld is what happens when your sarcastic, politically cynical friend with a Twitter habit is handed a studio, a desk, and full permission to mock everyone. He doesn't show up with policy, deep dives, or historical nuance. He shows up swinging, armed with punchlines, and the chaotic flair of someone who believes satire should leave a bruise. When Gutfeld took aim at Joy Behar, it wasn't a targeted strike, it was a stand-up set laced with missile-grade sarcasm. To him, Behar isn't just a misinformed pundit, she's a comedy jackpot, a one-woman avalanche of tone-deaf declarations, cloaked in the illusion of moral authority and delivered with all the subtlety of a fire alarm at 3A.M.
State is getting hit with one of the worst hurricanes that they will ever see.
But she should know. Does anyone remember that time when she got carried away by Hurricane Sandy? Take a look. Thank you.
Maher criticizes Behar for what she symbolizes in liberal ideology, while Gutfeld mocks her as a byproduct of media elitism. No need for flowery metaphors. Gutfeld just points at the absurdity and laughs until everyone else does too, watching him dismantle one of Behar's on-air tirades with the clumsy finesse of a drunk juggler makes one thing clear. This isn't political analysis. It's demolition with a grin. To Gutfeld, Behar is a relic from an era when loud opinions on network TV were mistaken for thoughtful ones. Her takes, the intellectual equivalent of a toddler banging on a piano, noisy, chaotic, and only music if you squint really hard. What is that Maher and Gutfeld didn't coordinate? They're not friends, probably wouldn't share a party. They independently arrived at the same verdict. Joy Behar is the cynic's chapel of misguided commentary, a carefully constructed mess over years. Wildly overrated in value. Both men saw the same symptoms, ego masquerading as expertise. Moral outrage, replacing argument, and intellectual curiosity left at the door, but their diagnoses came from different hospitals. Vice.
And finally, new rule: stop saying that Whoopi Goldberg getting yanked from The View right after she attacked me on The View is karma. There's no such thing as karma, sorry. Sorry, but life is random. The only word to describe it when a big game hunter gets trampled by an elephant and then eaten by lions is hilarious.
Vice 8 Maher dismissed her as a cautionary tale of progressive overreach. Gutfeld framed her as the blooper reel of serious journalism. It's oddly poetic to TV personalities from opposite ends of the ideological spectrum both deciding Joy Behar wasn't worth dying on, but perfect for swinging at like a political piñata blindfolded. Dicen swinging hard. Behar didn't respond, but she didn't have tooth. The damage was done by implication. This wasn't a war of words. It was reality roasting her alive. Maher rolled his eyes at an entire ideology. Gutfeld laughed through a personality cult, and smack in the middle stood Behar, the unwitting star of a bipartisan comedy special. The timing couldn't have been worse or better depending on your sense of humor. As political discourse sinks deeper into the kiddie pool of public opinion, the last thing anyone needed was a woman shouting into a void of applause, signs, and coffee mugs. But there she was, a beacon of everything Maher critiques and Gutfeld ridicules. It was like a cartoon character wandered into a documentary and refused to leave. Maher built his argument like a philosophy professor pushed to the brink. Gutfeld just showed up, kicked over the podium, and cracked a fart joke with a punchline. Yet somehow, both exposed the same undeniable truth.
Here's Joy Behar talking about refusing to share a kidney.
I could be friends with a Trump supporter. I won't give them a kidney, but I could be friends with them.
Hey, Joy, it's a kidney, not a pizza. Of course, she's kidding at first, but then she goes on to explain the moral foundation for her resentment, and it's the same one that drives all deadly ideology.
Joy Behar is the political pundit equivalent of a laugh track there to cue the audience when they're supposed to care, even if the content isn't funny. And make no mistake, this isn't personal, it's cultural. Behar isn't just a person, she's a symbol. She's the echo of a media era where yelling was mistaken for courage and nuance got booed off the stage. She's the grand finale of a fireworks show that ran out of sparks 10 seasons ago but kept firing dud after dud because someone forgot to hit the off switch. What makes it all the more comedic is that Behar seems blissfully unaware of the smug confidence that radiates off her like a scented candle at a yoga retreat. That's exactly what Maher and Gutfeld roast. The idea that volume and repetition equal insight. The unwavering belief that having a TV platform grants intellectual authority. And the total lack of self-awareness that turns it all into accidental comedy. Maher and Gutfeld became the unintentional buddy cops of media critique, one armed with dry-cutting sarcasm, the other wielding a leaf blower of mockery. Together, they dismantled the myth of Joy Behar's credibility like a Lego tower on a trampoline. Maher didn't even need to name her. His criticism of shallow liberal punditry was specific, enough that it practically wore a red wig and demanded another segment on gun control.
If The View is your favorite show, you might be a little slow. Yes, it's time for
Our View on The View.
very serious music. They love to play the race card because logic for them is hard.
Gutfeld, on the other hand, didn't hold back. He launched grenades of satire with the glee of someone who knows he'll never be invited to brunch with the Viewcast, and frankly prefers it that way. What makes this roast worth watching isn't just that Joy Behar got metaphorically bulldozed by two men who'd rather wrestle porcupines than share a dinner table. It's that their laughter, one from the liberal cocktail lounge, the other from the conservative dive bar, hit the same target. And no, it's not because Behar is some Machiavellian puppet master pulling ideological strings. She's the living embodiment of a cultural feedback loop that mistakes self-righteousness for personality. The View isn't so much a talk show anymore, as it is a group therapy session for the chronically overconfident. Joy doesn't debate, she declares. She doesn't question, she proclaims. It's a televised shrine to the gospel of unfiltered opinions wrapped in smugness. That's what Maher rolled his eyes at from his lofty perch of long-form monologues. That's what Gutfeld mocked with a smirk from his satire dungeon.
I want to talk about Whoopi Goldberg because I got so many texts this week because she attacked me the week before.
Sure.
So she was, everybody was like, oh, Bill, I get you're enjoying the karma. First of all, I'm going to talk about this at the end of my show next week, teaser. But there is no fucking thing as karma, okay? Get over that. Whoopi attacks me on a regular basis. She says stupid shit on a regular basis. It just happened to coincide. But
and the best part, Maher and Gutfeld aren't even in the same ideological tax bracket, yet somehow, they both sniffed out the same rot in the room, the collapse of honest discourse under the weight of empty applause lines. Joy Behar isn't just a panelist. She's the mascot of an era where loud equals smart and having a platform automatically makes you an expert. When both Maher and Gutfeld sharpen their comedic scalpels for the same patient, you know the diagnosis isn't cultural cholesterol. Shows like The View operate in an echo chamber, so airtight even their Wi-Fi has an opinion. They preach to the choir with such zeal that even the choir wishes for subtitles. Conversation has been reduced to karaoke, repeating the same tired tunes, with just enough sass to fake originality. Meanwhile, the studio audience claps like trained seals at every sanctimonious hot take, while the rest of us watch from afar like it's a nature documentary on delusion. That's the deeper punchline. Maher and Gutfeld landed comedy still has the guts to call out absurdity. Even when it's wearing professional makeup and sitting under studio lights. Maher brought the cerebral wine-sipping snark. Gutfeld rolled in with the barbarian energy. Behar, she brought whatever noise happens when self-importance crashes headfirst into overdue reality. So maybe, just maybe, this wasn't about owning the libs or dunking on the right. Maybe it was about reclaiming comedy's throne as the one place. Nonsense no matter the political jersey gets smacked with a laugh track and sent back to the green room. In a world that can't agree on what day it is, we can still unite around one beautiful truth. Joy Behar's latest take was once again hilariously, facepalm-inducingly wrong. But here's the kicker, they weren't even trying to humiliate her. Not really. They were making points, jokes, observations, and Joy Behar just happened to be the punchline, hiding in plain sight. It's like discovering the main character of a sitcom. You've been hate-watching is also the one writing the script. They didn't just roast her, they turned her into a metaphor for everything wrong with political talk shows. So no, this wasn't a debate or confrontation. It was a masterclass in mutual roasting.